Welcome to the Scalable Real Estate Investing Podcast, where we discuss the most scalable strategies, tools, and approaches to successfully invest in real estate. Learn how to make the most impact of your time, automate your real estate investing business, find off-market deals with minimum time invested, and leverage your capital to create as many income streams as possible so that you can achieve true financial independence. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Mason Clement. Hi everyone, Mason Clement here. Before we get into today's episode, I wanted to ask you one question. Are you sick of the wild swings in the stock market and ready to try something different? Did you know that investing in stocks actually put you at the very bottom of a company's capital structure, meaning that there's practically 0% chance that you're going to get any of your money back in the event that the company files bankruptcy? So basically, you're putting yourself in the riskiest position for a questionable return. Personally, I hate the unpredictability and just waking up and having half of my investment gone when I didn't do anything wrong. So what a lot of people don't know is that you can actually make higher returns on a consistent basis by investing in the opposite end of the capital structure, which is actually the safest place to be, which is on the debt side in a first lien position. And you can do that by investing in real estate, and specifically investing with my company in notes that are backed by the land that we purchase. So if you're ready to diversify your income stream, go ahead and go over to scalablerei.com and click on invest in the top right corner. There you're going to find a form that you can fill out to determine if you're eligible to invest with my company, Celion Capital, and we'll be reaching out to you to schedule an introductory call and speak more from there. So thanks a lot, and let's jump into the episode. Hi, Scalable Investors. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Scalable Real Estate Investing. I'm your host, Mason Clement, and today we have Zhang with us, who is another fellow land investor. Always happy to have more folks in the land space on here. He's going to tell us about how he's on track to earn about $1 million with his business this year, despite a turn of the market, and overall just jump into how he's running his business. So without further ado, Ray, what's going on? How you doing?
Thank you, Mr. for having me. Glad to be here.
Yeah, no problem. So what I like to do is just jump into everyone's background and journey, because obviously real estate investing is a journey like most things. So what's your journey? What brought you up to today?
It's a little bit hard for me, I guess for everyone too. At the beginning, I tried 6 years of houses, apartments, and everything basically. It didn't really work out for me. I was in Hawaii, and it was a little bit harder to do wholesaling houses there. And it was like already 6 years until I finally tried to start to do land, another new thing, right? So.
Okay. Well, what made you want to start the wholesaling 6 years ago? Or how long have you been doing land, I guess, is the first question.
Yeah, I've been doing land for 4 years. So 10 years ago, I started to do real estate. After 6 years, I didn't have much of a success to show off. So, no, those 6 years, I tried a whole bunch of different things: wholesaling, virtual wholesaling, apartments. Yeah, it was very hard.
Okay. And were you working a day job at that time when you first got into the wholesaling space and decided you wanted to use that as a vehicle to quit the day job, or what was the motivation?
I was a car dealer, and I tried to do houses, because when you sell like a wholesale house, and that equals many cars, right? So I did the math. So I flip one car, that's a couple thousand, but you flip a house, that's tens of thousands, right? So.
Okay, it's interesting you say that. There's a childhood friend I have based here. I'm in the Dallas area, and there's tons of different car dealers in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and he was telling me about the business. It sounds really interesting. Good way to make a lot of money if you know how to do it right, but it really seems like you have to have a few different stations and teams to have it streamlined and just basically constantly print money. But it's definitely more of a volume game, like you said, versus doing like one house equaling whatever it is, 5 or 10 cars, or depending on the profit on the deal. So when you were trying to do apartments, were you trying to just find deals to wholesale to other operators, or try to like get a piece of the GP? Like, what size of the apartments were they?
I was trying to find a deal that then I can find some people to fund it, being the finder of the transaction. But I live in Hawaii, so I try to find something in the mainland. It's just so time consuming. I mean, I have to fly here and talk to the brokers. And eventually, it just didn't work out for me.
Okay. Were you trying to do like the typical value add play, like acquire a Class B property and like 100 units plus and all that and syndicate it?
Maybe not 100 units, more like 20, 25 units for some smaller units, but then I was looking for.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But then still go through the whole process of syndicating it and all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Why not focus on properties in Hawaii? It might be a really ignorant question, but did you ever try that? Like apartment properties in Hawaii?
No, there are not too much. I mean, just a small island and very few apartments there that you can kind of flip or try to sell them. It's already not very small city in Hawaii, Honolulu. So
Okay. Got it. And I guess that's where I'm really ignorant. I've actually never been to Hawaii. So is most of the population concentrated in Honolulu?
correct. But we have 1 million people there in the island of Honolulu County. So
Okay, cool.
yeah.
And did you grow up in Hawaii?
No, I grew up in China. I came to the States about 10 years ago.
Okay, what part of China?
I'm from the capital, Beijing.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
为什么你想要搬家到美国？
All right, just for your curiosity, he asked, why do you want to move to United States, right? And yeah, I moved here because it just I think it's better. I mean, the environment, there's less people here, and there's more opportunity, an American dream, right? So I wanna go to the dream place. So that's why I went to the States. So
Okay, I've heard
Yeah.
Xi Jinping talk about the 中国梦想。
yeah, I don't know about that.
不好意思，我喜欢练习我的中文。之前我就在中国2年了，所以之前在杭州、还有东莞和深圳都在那边。
Yeah.
So for my listeners, I lived in China for 2 years, and I was in Hangzhou, which is 1 hour west of Shanghai, and then I was also in Dongguan and Shenzhen. And it's like a fun fact, about 10 years ago, from 2013 to 15, and I started a product development company there. That was my first time leaving the day job and really pursuing the entrepreneurial dream. So now this is version 2.0. I just left the day job in April of this year. So
All right.
doing
Awesome.
a land investing business full time. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
There
So you
go.
went to college over in Beijing?
Yeah, I went there and I didn't graduate. And then I went to Hawaii for another college and didn't graduate there either. So it was hard for me to graduate from college. Yeah, but I went to Hawaii and everything changes, right? So
Okay. Very cool. And then you get married and have kids, and then it's just a whole different world, right?
yeah, totally.
All right. Nice.
Yeah.
So how did you first learn about land, and describe that transition of how you got started in land?
Yeah, so went to I tried all this. I didn't really have much results. Houses, apartments, and I was about to just give up. Because I thought it was just too hard. 6 years, I spent more than 200,000 on all this coaching fees, whatever, mentoring fees, and but I came up with the land. I mean, I paid another guy 70,000, surprisingly, and he didn't tell me too much because he taught me to buy a land and sell on terms, right? And it wasn't my style. I like to buy a land and then I can flip it. I don't want to sell on terms. Terms is just too slow for me. I gotta, if you want to build a cash flow, go to apartments. They have more, very much less default rate, right? So not with land. But I try to twist the system, and here I am. I buy land and then flip it for cash. So
Okay, got it. And I know that what I found interesting about your approach through listening, you speak on someone else's podcast, is you focus on like the subdivision level. So can you go into that a little bit and like why you chose that level of land, like level of specificity?
yeah, normally right now I do only infill lots, meaning when you drive around, you see a lot in the middle of houses. Those infill lots is my target right now. So every infill lot sits in a subdivision, and if you really look into a subdivision, for a zip code is very big, and a lot of things can happen in the same zip code. But for the same subdivisions, sometimes the size of the lot is the same, the value of the lot are pretty much very similar. And so right now I was just doing 40 to 50 cents on the dollar when I buy a land, in the same subdivision. And when I got them, it's pretty much already a huge discount, and I can sell it at the price of maybe double the price of my investment, right? So
Okay. And when you were first starting out, I assume you were sending out mailers. So how many mailers were you sending out? Like how many pieces of mail on each go around campaign?
yeah, so right now I suggest all my students to send at least 3,000 mails a month. That's a bare minimum, I think. But when I first started, I was sending about 5 to 6,000 every 2 months, so about the same. And I was targeting different than right now. So I was doing things totally different until pretty much the end of last year. So.
Okay, how are you doing them differently? What changed?
So I changed it from doing kind of the very cheap area, like you can buy a 5 acre for a couple thousand, 1 or 2,000, to right now I don't even look at land worth below 10,000. So it's just a shift, right? And a lot of people say big deals take the equal time than the smaller deals. But actually, the bigger deals takes less time because all the people come in, try to help the realtors, the title company come in and help. It's just a total different story right now. So.
Okay, so I guess going from smaller like desert squares to more not desert square type of lots and scaling the size of each transaction.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, but I've struggled with what I think most people do is you send out a bunch of mail, a whole bunch of leads come in, and then you get busy with those leads, and then you forget that you have to replenish the pipeline and just keep the whole flywheel going, the whole cycle going. So how have you been able to master that process of, handling those leads, converting them to signed contracts, sending them to your realtor for dispo, and then also continue to be sending out at least 3,000 pieces of mail per month?
I think you have to have some rules. My rule is whoever called me today, they'll get a call from me today. So I never procrastinate. So today's job I have to finish, and when people call me today, I'll call them back. So for those people who didn't pick it up, I will have to follow up with them until they pick it up, and tell me to either to go away and stop calling them or give me the deal, right? So you just have to have those type of discipline to, when you send them offer out every single month, you have to be able to call them back when the offer comes in, right? So.
Okay, are you using Pat Live or any other answering service?
No, just when people call me back, they'll go to voicemail, and they leave a voicemail. I call them back pretty much right away. And before I call them back, I try to see if there's a name attached to their phone number, and I can just go to the county site and see who owns this lot, how much the land is pretty much worth, and then when I call them back, I already know how much I'm going to offer on this property. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's go into that a little bit more because you might send 40% out, but you usually don't actually purchase the, like follow through on the actual blind offer you initially send. Is that correct?
Yeah, I never pay the exact same offer price.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll always negotiate.
So what is your strategies for negotiating to get it lower?
My strategy is pretty much following some couple of books. And the first one is called Go for No. The second book is called Never Split Difference. And the third book is called Flip This Script. Yeah, Flip This Script. So not the pretty girl one. There are two books. There's a girl who wrote the Flip this script, and then that's a pretty girl, not that book. It's a yellow, small, very skinny book. So, but that book helped me a lot. He's talking about a concept about taking away or ABS, right? Always be leaving. ABL. I'm sorry. So always be leaving. So always try to leave instead of trying to grab the seller, right? Just like if you chase a cat and the cat will run away, but if you run away, the cat will chase you. So when we approach the seller, if we ask them, hey, Mr. Seller, can we do like 10,000 cheaper? You probably will not have a good deal, right? But what if you tell the seller, hey, Mr. Seller, I'm not sure really I can even buy this deal because of this and this and this. What do you think the best you can do, right? So it's always like you're hesitating to buy the land instead of trying to make a deal happen. So that's my strategy.
Okay. And you look at things like, well, it's going to cost this much to install a water meter or electric meter. And even if utilities exist there, you still have to pay thousands of dollars to set up those meters, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. And then like also if there's a whole bunch of trees on there, like some people don't understand, like, look, I can't even see the lot. There's no clearing. Like it's just trees. So right. This probably
Yeah.
happens to you a lot, right?
Yeah.
Unless it's a
Yeah.
desert square.
Yeah, definitely. And I had a deal with the seller. I told her exactly the same thing as you said. I said, there's no water. She said, we just installed the water tank. I said, there's no power. She said, we have power in the lots. And I said, the trees are grown. And she said, I just did the trim and I just mowed the lawn, right? I was like, I'm out of option here. What do I say? And eventually I said, I'm sorry, I just don't want to pay that much. And we got a huge discount after I said that. So, the seller, when they call you back, they know you're not going to pay that much or the full asking price. I'm not trying to lowballing here, but I'm just trying to make the deal happen, right? And when they call you, they already know they don't want the land. So, we're helping them, right?
So are you usually shooting for like a 15% or a 20% of what you're actually expecting to sell it for? Or is like, what's that percentage usually that you're actually purchasing at on average?
I tell people we don't want to have that number in mind even because if you have that number, you kind of gravitating to move towards that goal, right? So for example, I got a deal for 1,000 recently, and I sent an offer for 13,000, and that land was about 25,000. So I sent an offer for 13,000. She called me back after 20 minutes. We got it for $1,000, right? So did I have that $1,000 in mind before I call her? No, right? I'm just trying to get to the lowest possible. And so that's kind of my philosophy when you try to talk to the seller. We are studying at a point of trying to help her, but at the same time, do not limiting yourself, saying, oh, I have to maybe bring the maximum 20% off. So if I try to do that, maybe I'll buy the land for 7,000 or 8,000, right? So yeah, so never had that number in mind.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it also comes back to like in Never Split the Difference and other, I guess, negotiating books, they talk about the anchoring, and that's why you shouldn't mention your lower number, because then that's like, all right, and this the seller's mine. This is the bare minimum. I'm going to get at least this dollar amount. And so that's why you should always say, what's the best you can do, or help me out here in reaching some solution, and have them give you their number, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, but what do you do if they just, like, especially for SMS campaigns, we just have a constant issue like, oh, you contacted me, they throw their hands up and they really refuse to provide any numbers. So what do you do in those rare cases where they just don't want to say anything or speak at all until you give a number out?
Yeah, so they have a number, believe it or not. They just don't know. Most people don't know what they want, but they absolutely know what they don't want. So, you know, if a seller tell me, hey, you send me the offer letter, you tell me, right? What's the best you can do, right? I'll be like, you know, if you ask me, I'm an investor, I'll probably do 500 for this one. And then I will laugh, right? And so even though it sounds like a joke, but I throw a super low anchor, and you know, I'm saying I'm not trying to offend you, but you asked me, right? And I would do 500. So, and she'll be like, ah, you must be joking, and you know, that's too low. And I said, okay, you do have a number. You just told me you didn't know what price you want to sell, but I said 500. You do have a number in mind. So, what do you think the best you can do on this lot? I mean, I'm not trying to hold you up to that price. Just tell me like a ballpark number. I mean, a range at least, right? So, and then if I say that, they will be like, you know, maybe the lowest I can do is this, right? And then we go from there.
Okay. And how much time do you usually put in the contract to close on it?
You know, the closing is take about 2 or 3 weeks. So in the contract, I don't even have a date. So, you know, I sign it, the seller sign it, I give it to the title company, and just try to close it as soon as possible. Normally take about 3 weeks or 2 weeks.
Okay, got it. So you don't have like a 30 closing will occur 30 days from effective date or 45 days on it.
No, no, I'm not trying to be a wholesaler, so I don't put a date there. So
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. And do you ever buy any lots that are in HOAs, or do you just flat out avoid HOAs?
I was pretty nervous to do HOA because every time when you sell or buy a land, you have to pay the HOA transfer fee, or they call it waiver fee, whatever they name, but they just want the money, right? So, but I bought this land in Texas and they asked for HOA. I paid them, and you know, it was 20 grand deal. So, you know, HOA, you can definitely make a deal happen. It just be aware of if you know there's a HOA, that's the first problem, right? So if you don't know there's a HOA, you might be screwed because sometimes the owner own a whole bunch of money from HOA, right? So they have to pay them first when you buy the land. And secondly, you have to figure out how much HOA for transfer fee or whatever name they name it, right? Just ask the HOA, if you want to buy this land, how much transfer fee I need to pay to take ownership, and they will tell you. Yeah.
Okay. But do you ever worry about like the buyer pool being significantly smaller because of the restrictions and things like that?
I don't think so, because you know, some people just like HOA lots. It's more secure. There's a gate. Maybe they can build a house that you know, finally can get a HOA, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. There's definitely specific buyers that actively seek out a more controlled environment like that versus like, I know I sold one to someone who had told me specifically, like, I don't want a mobile home type of neighborhood. I mean, most of the time, if you list something on like Facebook Marketplace or whatever, everyone's always asking, what are the restrictions? Can I put a mobile home? And always the same stuff. I want mobile home friendly, no restrictions, and all this other stuff. And a lot of times it's actually hard to find something with zero restrictions. There's at least like subdivision level restrictions, even if there's no HOA, you know. So
Yeah, the city has a restriction too. So
yeah, exactly. If it's within city limits, there's zoning where it's like, no, this is zone R1 for residential, single family residential. There's no mobile homes. People don't understand that stuff, you know. So
absolutely.
I know you say infill lots, but I've learned there's infill lots like within city limits, and then there's also subdivisions that are maybe in a city's ETJ or even in the county level. Do you ever go that far out?
I normally just go to 30 to 90 minutes from the major growing city. Let's say you're in Dallas, about, I won't go more than 2 hours from the major growing city. Yeah.
Okay. It looks like we have another guest in the background.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought I closed the door, but
No problem.
yeah.
Oh, by the way, before we started recording, you mentioned you moved to Florida. So when did you move to Florida from Hawaii?
Yeah, I moved to Florida about a year ago, and there's I think just more selection, and you can go to different parks. Just a lot better here, I think. So, you get
Okay.
tired sometime in Hawaii, right? So,
Yeah, I think the time difference itself is just totally its own thing, right?
yeah, definitely. And right now in Hawaii is about 6 hours behind, so it's 11 a.m. there right now. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely different. Even like people living in California, I've heard at least people like I used to be in the finance world, and so people like traders and stuff, they'd have to wake up at 4 a.m. and start trading at 5 a.m, whatever it is, to
Definitely.
open up with the market and all that. So
Yeah,
pretty
definitely.
amazing, different lifestyle. But then like we would actually be purchasing bankruptcy claims, these bankruptcy cases. I mean, I have creditors we have to cold call, and anytime we cold call the ones in California, like they're already out of the office by 2 o'clock, and we'd always joke about, man, they're just surfing and doing yoga, and like they're not even working over there. But I think part of it's because they start their workday so much earlier, probably. It
Yeah,
obviously depends on each person, but I found it really
yeah,
interesting. Just
definitely.
different lifestyles.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, one question I had too was, if you're limiting each of your mailers to subdivisions, but you want to send to say like at least 3,000 hour, how many are you currently sending right now, total piece of mail per month?
About 20, sometimes 15,000. So,
Okay.
15 to 20,000 per month.
So how many subdivisions do you have to include to aggregate up to 15 to 20,000 pieces of mail a month?
I cannot count it because there are a whole bunch. But for each list, let's say there's 4 to 5,000 names on there. There would be at least, I think, 100 subdivision on that list, right? And I just do this equation about 40% of the average sold per subdivision, and I just drag it. I mean, it's super easy for a 4 to 5,000 mailer on campaign. And normally, you spend about 40 minutes on that list, no more than that. It's pretty easy. So I tell people all the time they want to make the perfect offer, right? And they want to make an offer that everyone see that they'll be, wow, this is a good offer, and I'm gonna accept that, right? So that's not gonna happen. I mean, you know that, Mason. I'm doing land for many years, and you tell me any coach or any land investor can make the perfect offer on each deal, on each name when they send out the offer, right? There's no way, because they don't have that time to go one by one and consider the condition of the land, and they make a final offer on this one, and let's move to number two, right? So no way, because there's so many of them. And so I tell people that offer is just a hook. You hook people to call you, and that's it. And when they call you, that's when the game starts. It's not that your offer is so attractive and everyone wants to do business with you, right? So,
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely speak from experience. Analysis paralysis is a huge trap that I've suffered from. It's like there's so many bottlenecks, and I want to price these lists, but I'm really nervous. I didn't price them correctly, and then I'll send stuff out, and it flops because it's either, I don't know, too high or too low. Obviously, if it's too high, usually it doesn't flop. I get tons of interest, but like a one mailer, for example, earlier this year, I priced these lots at 30,000, and then I realized I need to buy them at 7,000. And so to adjust the
yeah,
price that dramatically,
yeah,
almost everybody was a no. I did like 3 lots in that subdivision, but
yeah,
um, honestly, wasn't even aware of your approach, and so I was kind of inadvertently doing it and feeling really guilty about having to renegotiate the price. But I like how your approach is. That's just what you do on every single one of them. It's what you expect to do. It's not something to feel bad or guilty about. But I remember like one of the first mailers I sent out a couple of years ago was also overpriced. It was much lower price points though. I like sent out, was pricing at $4,000 per lot, and I was renegotiating those to like 3,000. And even then, people would be like, "Oh, you're bait and switch, you're scam," and throw their hands
Right.
up. I'm like, "Whatever, man." And like,
Yeah.
but it was pretty funny. I was getting like bombarded, like 20 calls a day because no one had ever expressed an interest in these lots because they were like, they bought them like back in the 80s when the subdivision was created, and then like nothing, like no development happened, anything. It was a pretty funny experience, but I was able to get some decent deals in it.
Absolutely. I still have bad reviews on my company saying this is a bait and switch company, right? So that's very normal when we do land deals, and it's just all about actions, get it done. And a lot of time I find the same thing. I send offers too high, and for example, recently I sent to this subdivision, I sent everyone 30,000 for the land. I look at it, the land worth worth about 6,000, right? So I have to buy them at 2,000. So how do you say that, right? So you just sincerely apologize. I'm sorry we made a mistake on the pricing, and honestly, every one of them deep down they know, because this is not the first letter they receive from, maybe not the first time from you, but they received their offer letter many times from other people, and they have seen this low price over and over again, and that's why they call you, and your offer is so high, but they know how much their land is worth. So when you talk to them on the phone, if you guys are very if you're nice to the seller, they might just sell it to you for a deep discount price, right? I got many deals like that. So
Yeah, actually, I bought one lot that the guy said, "Well, I got a bunch of letters, but you're the only one with the Texas address, and I used to live in that area, so I'll sell to you because people from Texas are pretty straight shooters." And I was like, "That's right, that's me." So that was it. I mean, I was actually renegotiating that price too. It was another one of the same subdivision. One of those we bought from 30 down to like 10, and I think I bought that one for like 12, and it was still like, I don't know. It's funny because there's so many lots for sale in that subdivision that, like, I sold a couple really quick to a local builder and only made like a couple thousand on each of the lots. And now I'm just concerned, like this one, I'm still having my inventory. I have to sell for another a small amount of margin. It's definitely not doubling the money. It's just like, just scratch the trade, I just got to get it out of the inventory.
yeah, definitely.
But actually going back to another question, your target is how quickly you want to sell each of these lots that you buy.
I try to sell it as soon as possible, and because of negotiation, I buy them super low, at super low price, and I offer 40% or 50% on the dollar. After the offer comes back, I will renegotiate again, and after that, because we got the land for such a low price, I will look at surrounding for sale. And then if I look at the land for sale for, let's say, 20,000, same subdivision, about the same size of the land, I will offer to sell it for 18. I want to be the absolute lowest one in the area. If there's a sale, that'll be me. So that's always my strategy. So
Okay, and we talked about scale and the size of the transaction. What's your minimum profit on each deal that you absolutely have to get?
I try to shoot for at least 10,000 profit. So if a deal cannot bring me at least 10,000 profit, I won't even go there. So that all comes back to market selection. So when you choose a market, you have to be very careful to choose your area, right? Some county just sell the land for crazy high, some crazy low, like a couple thousand. I mean, I'm talking about average, right? So if average sold price in that county, it has to fit my ideal price range. So my price range is about 15,000 to 250. So if majority of the land sold in that price range, so that's my market, and I'll go inside there, and I try to make sure that the minimum profit I make on each deal is 10,000. So
Okay, that makes sense. And how many deals are you able to average per month with your current operations?
Right now it's been slower, and this month I only have two. But a couple months ago, the market has shifted, right? So before that, I post a land for sale after like 3 days, I got offered, right? So right now it just take longer, and people are hesitating to move forward. So we just gotta, right now it's the time to accumulate, because people need money during holidays, and we just have to mail more, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. There's always a little bit of a lull there, and then like January, February, things just really pick up. So makes sense. And
Definitely.
do you use deal funders at all to acquire these properties, or is it strictly your own capital?
Yeah, right now it's my own. I used to do the deal funder. They gave about they fund the deal. I gave them 15%. But right now, I don't need them. Maybe in the future. But I just try to keep it within my own reach right now. So I did 9 deals funded by other people.
Okay, and you gave them 50%, like 50 or 15, 15.
What 1 5, 15. Yeah. So 15% on the profit or on their money, whichever is greater. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's actually pretty good terms because most people want like 50% or at least 40% of the profit, but obviously it's pretty egregious and tough to swallow. But obviously, if that's the way to remove the bottleneck in the funding part of things, then it makes sense.
Definitely.
But I guess at the same time, if your current operations can't handle that volume of deals, then you wouldn't need to deal funder anyway. So, what do you teach your students to do? Is just strictly use their own capital, or do you also encourage them to use deal funders when starting out so they can have more money for marketing and send out more mailers?
Yeah, I would tell them, if you have a deal, the money is not a problem, right? So if you find a killing deal, money is very easy to find. And I'm also have a student reach out to me, and he said he don't really have the money to do marketing even, right? So I'm thinking to summarize all my experience of getting money out of the thin air. I'm trying to create another small mini course on how do people get their 10,000 from nothing, right? Because when I came to the States, I had nothing. I have $3,000 and I was homeless, living in the car. So I have this experience of creating money, just flipping something, right? So I'm thinking to do something like that to help people if you're struggling with the the marketing budget. That's the minimum requirements. If you're struggling with that, I can teach you how to get money out of nothing. So that was my this is something I will start to do this coming week. So
Okay, that's great. Yeah, had heard you mention that you would just find free things on Craigslist and just turn around and list them. Is that right?
yeah. So there's different stages. If you have no money, no, we try to get to the 1,000, and from 1,000 try to get it to 5 grand, and from 5 grand we jump to 100,000, right? And the land is just after you have like 10,000 at least, the land is just so much better to flip. I mean, it's better than the couch you try to flip, right? Or the mattress. So you can,
Is
double
that the
money.
things you primarily would do? Is the couches and mattresses and for other
Yeah,
furniture?
yeah. What I used to do is I just drive around and see, that one of the greatest thing in America is people throw away some stuff on the street, right? So it never happened in China. But I just go there and grab it and sell back to the Facebook marketplace. So yeah, so you got to do whatever you have to do, right? So if you don't want to work for someone.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So how much would you be able to make like per day on average doing that?
Uh, I did that for a short time, and then I accumulated a couple thousand. I started to flip cars. So cars is a faster vehicle. It just can really double your money quick. And then after cars, I start to do land. So, if you really don't have nothing, I would just go to Craigslist and find the free stuff and, It's no problem to get a couple thousand for sure. And my friend Zach Booth, he's pretty famous on the driving for dollar space. He tried to prove people that you can really create money out of thin air. So what he did is he went on the neighborhood, he drive around the neighborhood, knock on people's door, and he said, "I'm the pawn shop guy in the neighborhood. And do you have anything that you don't want? You want to throw away? Maybe you can sell it on the pawn shop." So he earned $500 an hour average. So doing that, so just it's better than going to work for someone for $30 an hour, right? So
Okay. Yeah, that's really interesting. So you would have stuff either donated to him or he would buy it at a discount and then he would sell it on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or something?
yeah, that's what he does. So
Okay. Would he also sell it to pawn shops or would you just never actually go to a pawn shop?
he never went to the pawn shop. He just tried to be the pawn shop guy. So
Got it. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just a few other questions. So I've been involved in some subdivisions where one lot will sell for 30,000 and the one next to it sells for 60,000 because it's got a better view because the topography is just extremely volatile. It's like hill country and it's changing all the time. So do you use that as a criteria and try to avoid places like that where you have this unpredictable pricing?
Yeah, so like I said, there's no way we can make 100% accurate offers because in the same subdivision, in Florida, maybe you have a river view and the other lots, no view at all, right? So those two land in the same subdivision, the price will range quite a bit. So what I do is I would just offer from, the average, a little bit lower side, not on the ocean side, right? I want to offer a little bit lower, not too low that people will ignore me, but not too high that that everybody will start to call me, right? So just an average. I will still go into that subdivision, yes.
Okay, got it. That's helpful. And you use list source still, or do you use something else now for your list?
Yeah, I use listsource, and I use listsource because I try to download the comparable to make the offers. And the listsource, one thing about listsource is, you can download the price, the list with the sold price in it, right? It's for free. I mean, if you add that field, it's for free, right? But if you go to data tree, it will cost you money. Every name, it'll be more than 10. I think it would 10 cents each name. You have to add more, So on listsource, if you download the list with sold price, that's free of charge for that function.
Okay. Have you tried to use Property Radar?
No, I never tried that.
Okay. Yeah, they have sold price as well. I mean, it depends obviously on the state. If it's a non-disclosure state like Texas, then they often don't have stuff like that available. Right. But I'm just curious because I had created a list with using list source, using the method you were talking about, and the price per record, it came out to really high. It was like 20 cents or something.
18 cents.
18 cents. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Versus like data tree, I don't know if I didn't know that they charge extra for like the last sales price field, but I know when I was using them, it was like 9 cents per record. And then I went to Property Radar and it's just like 1 cent per record. The only downfall is that you can't remove duplicates. So I know I'm paying extra for stuff I don't need, but even paying for the duplicates, I'm still saving money, it seems like. So I've just been curious too. Go on.
Yeah, I have contract with listsource. If you need a special account, we can bring it down to 3.5 cents each name. And so I find listsource to be the most accurate. I just stick to it right now. So
okay, yeah, that was what I was trying to get to. Is you have all these different providers, but I always question like maybe they aren't flagging certain land correctly. Like in Property Radar, I can click land or agriculture, and if I don't do agriculture, it'll leave out like a whole bunch of farms, like stuff I might be really interested in, like maybe some great subdivide deals, like 50 acres and up, or even 20-acre piece of land. But it's just not flagged as land. It's flagged as agriculture or livestock or pasture. I'm like, why would you do this stupid shit? This is ridiculous. So then I have to like download everything. Anyway, It's just it's a data problem, but maybe I'll revisit list source. Maybe take you up on that. 3.5 cents is definitely more manageable than like
Yeah,
almost 20 cents.
yeah, definitely. It's a lot cheaper. So
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, what's your team look like in terms of like virtual assistants and things like that?
yeah, I have one virtual assistant, and I pay him about $2 an hour. Surprisingly, he's very happy. But so we don't have a huge team. Uh, but I enjoy the process. I just talk to people myself. When I try to sell it, the realtor will come in, and title company will come in. So there's not too much I can do on the deals. So
Do you find you have to just still at least do some transaction coordination, following up with title company and the seller to get all the necessary documents in place and all that?
no, they do a very good job. And I tell them the first that when I send the offer in, first of all, they have to call the seller and tell them, hey, my name is so and so. I'm coming from this title company, and I right now officially open the escrow, the title research process, and just rest assured we'll get it done. It's just something like that to let the seller know what's going on, right? So a lot of people don't say that, and the seller assume, okay, this guy's not going to move forward, but actually it's in the process. So in the process, the seller, if they don't know, they might start to sell someone else, right? So we don't want that to happen.
Okay. Yeah, that's really interesting. That makes a lot of sense to kind of train your title company because I've had so many of them where like it's been there, they've had like 3 months to do all the work on it, and then they just wait until the last day of the contract and like, oh, it's a closing date. And then even then they it might have to be delayed because they didn't have all their shit together. And it's
Yeah,
extremely frustrating. So I have to like follow up and like chase people. And one deal I'm working on right now, it's chasing the title, but it's also chasing the sellers because we have to get affidavit of heirship signed. And so you have to deal with this coordination stuff for mobile notaries. And the problem too, the seller's wife is in Taiwan with her mom, and you have to schedule an appointment with the American Institute over there for a notary. It's just a huge mess, and no one
yeah,
seems to be in a hurry. I don't know.
yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah, I'm just curious there. So do you plan on hiring and adding to your team later? Or is it just really going to be you and your one VA?
I don't know who should I hire. I mean, there's not too much they can do. I enjoy talking to people on the phone, and my VA make the offers and pull the list, choose the market. So, there's not too much I can do because in general, land is much easier than houses, right? So, I just talk to people, follow up on them, and that keep me about 2 to 3 hours a day working on the land business.
Okay, but that does not
Yeah.
include producing the mailer and pricing the list and all that because your VA is doing that.
I can do that too. It's just a 40 minutes job. You done that, it's done, right? So not too much of work there. But I prefer to do the make an offer myself. Even though offer is not super important, but it does play a role. So I try to make it myself so that my VA don't mess it up. But he might do a better job than me. So
Okay.
right, never know.
Yeah, but then he's got to work US hours. It's got to be an overseas VA, right?
Yeah, he is working up around the clock, so he doesn't really mind which hours to work.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
cool. And I guess he's over in the Philippines, or she?
He's somewhere in the Indian. I not
Huh.
in Indian, but somewhere around there.
Oh, okay, like
Yeah.
Pakistan or somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. So looking at your current pipeline and what you're on track to do for this year, what's your plans for scaling your business going into next year?
I think I'm gonna increase the mailing number next year. Right now, this month I only send about 10,000 mailers. I think I should just raise that number and try to mail more and to get more deals. Right now, it's time to buy. Everyone's kind of scared, need money, and January and February, they will start to pick up a little bit again, right? So
Okay, so you're gonna go from like 10,000 to how much do you think's realistic to shoot for?
I think at least 20,000 mailers to mail out.
Okay. Are
Yeah.
you also considering like scaling the size of your transaction, or are you gonna still stick to that 10,000 minimum?
No, right now I'm trying to do 20,000 a month. Yeah.
I mean, for like the profit per deal, not the number
Oh,
of.
oh,
No.
yeah, at least 10,000. Yes, I still at least 10,000 profit a deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I think that we've hit on most everything I wanted to discuss. Is there anything else that you think? Actually, why don't we just talk about your mentoring program a little bit more? What is that? How can people learn about that? And who is that a good fit for?
I'm looking for someone who is really committed and they can, uh, I'm not looking for people who is going to try it out. I have so many people want to try it out, see if it works. Every system works. I mean, if you do houses, apartments, every system works. But by the process of trying, you're gonna fail because there's no try. If you're determined to do that, just put the whole full effort there. Hire a mentor like you, Mason, or like me, or whoever have results, right? And then just do whatever we do, and then you have results. That's the kind of person I want to work with. Right now, I only have like a coaching program, one-on-one, but I also creating some modules. So because I right now have like 30 students, so I cannot coach one by one. Uh, Not like consistent. There's no way I can coach 100 people at the same time, right? So I got to create some system in place to help more people. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that seems like a really scalable way to approach things. Just have like some video course module or something, so that way you can just drive online traffic there, and you don't have to sit one-on-one with people if they can just watch those videos during their own schedule, all that.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And I'm just curious, the question might answer itself, but what are the most effective ways you found of like building awareness of your mentorship program and other things you're working on like this?
You mean how to let more people know?
Yeah. I mean,
Oh, okay.
the reason I said may answer itself is because obviously speaking on podcasts is one of them, but what else do you do?
I think no matter what I do is I try to be helpful, right? And a lot of time we think the way of selling is, honestly, I'm just selling a course, right? Selling the coaching program, right? That's what I'm selling. But I'm not really trying to get you to buy it, right? Everyone don't want to be sold, right? So when we try to find people, it's not like we want to get their money, but we have to provide value first. So a lot of people get it backwards. They try to present this whatever good opportunity you have and try to get that person to buy it, and then they think maybe I'll provide you some value, right? So that's not the way to do business anymore, because right now it's just a different age and different time. But what I'm trying to do is I provide value. Even you don't buy, that's fine. I mean, you don't have to buy from me, right? But I provide enough value that you think I'm a good fit, you hire me as your coach, we go from there, right? But I always think the best way to do that is just to share whatever I know. I don't have any secret holding. I'm not trying to hide it from you. There's a secret I cannot tell you, and you have to buy first, and then I will tell you no. So if you ask me anything, if you watch me and Joe McCall, we had that interview. I never hold anything back. That's how I do it, right? So just people are kind of drawn to it, that, and they want to learn more. Yeah.
Okay. So adding value on podcasts, and then is there any other ways you're adding value? Because it seems kind of abstract or obscure.
Yeah. So I'm still learning myself, and all this funnel, tunnel, whatever it is, right? And so just try to uh, show people what I have done, and what they can be benefited. And right now I'm starting to TikTok, Instagram. My friend Zach Booth has phenomenal results from TikToks, and he's selling, he's driving for dollars, of course, right? So you just have to be generous of sharing, not trying to hold back.
Okay, so not necessarily just providing helpful information on podcasts, but also on your own social media platforms to just actually help people maybe learn and get to the next step, the next level, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Well, speaking of that, what is the best way for people to follow you or learn more about what you're doing or contact you?
Anytime on Instagram. My number, my tag there is virtual flip land, one word. So VIRTUAL, virtual flip land.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'll throw that in the show notes as well as those 3 negotiating books that you mentioned. It's always helpful. And if you don't have anything else, I think we'll just wrap it up.
All right, Mason, it's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for your questions. I think it'll help some people.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for jumping on. This is great, especially on a Saturday. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, that's another episode of Scalable Real Estate Investing. Thank you for tuning in. Please be sure to leave a review and subscribe on whatever channel you're using to listen or watch these episodes. And also be sure to go to scalablerealestateinvesting.com, scroll to the bottom, and fill out the form to sign up for our email. And you could also reach me directly at mason@scalablerealestateinvesting.com. That's MASON at scalablerealestateinvesting.com. If you'd like to get in touch with me to either partner on deals or even be considered to do your own episode on this podcast. Thanks again, and have a great day.